Good evening. Let us discuss this today's newspaper, that is 15th July 2015. So the major article for today's discussion is related to the Iran nuclear deal. Now with regard to this deal, we have to touch different dimensions and also we try to answer one question related to this. Now I have prepared a small diagram for this. The Iran nuclear deal, the mostly consists of one is what are the restrictions which are being eased on Iran, and next is what are the promises which the Iran has given, and what is the verification mechanism, and how it is decreasing its nuclear capabilities, and with regard to India, what are the positives and what are the concerns. With regard to geopolitics, how it can influence the geopolitics in West Asia. So these are the things we need to understand in this article. Now the first one is the decreasing nuclear capabilities. Now at Fordown, an underground facility is available for Iran for the enrichment of the nuclear material. So Iran agreed to close down that particular facility, and Iran will reduce enrichment capability by 1/3. The total enrichment capability will be reduced. And next is low enriched uranium will be limited to 300 kgs. So this is one thing majorly when the discussion was going on with regard to the facility at Fordo, the discussions have stuck. And the second thing is here another thing. Israel wants a total breakdown of the capabilities of the Iran to make a nuclear bomb at any point of time. But what this agreement is doing is, it is trying to cut down or trying to delay the ability to make a nuclear bomb. But it's altogether is not taking away the ability of the Iran to make a nuclear bomb. That is what is the Israel was talking about. And the second thing is a verification mechanism. So Mr. Khomeini, what he has said is, it will not compromise on its national interest, the hardliners. But however, Iran agreed for a verification by the nuclear, all the nuclear facilities, including the military facilities. So they used the word that is called as tightly controlled managed access. That is what is the term they used. Now this managed access has any specific meaning is not been elaborately explained. I will dwell deep into that. So they have allowed for the military access, which is tightly controlled, managed access. So these two are the Iran is giving from its side. Then what Iran is getting from the deal. Now the first thing is the economic embargoes will be done away with. So it means Iran can freely export its nuclear material. And second is Iran can continue its nuclear reactors, all the reactors which are meant for the energy purposes. And the third thing is, it means Iran under the NPT, the right to have a clean energy, the right to have the nuclear energy, it can continue further. But however, the sanctions still continue on the weapons for the next 5 years and missile technology for the next 8 years. So, and again, there is a snapback mechanism, automatic imposition of these sanctions if Iran violates the agreement anytime in the next 65 days. Here, this is what is the provision, which was a problem between, a contention between Russia, China on one side and other European and America on the other side. Russia, China were not interested on an automatic snapback mechanism because once the trade relations were developed, this automatic snap mechanism is going to create huge hurdles for them to continue further trade. So this is also expressed indirectly at UFA, that is Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So what it has been said is the sanctions are crippling, our sanction way of working to solve the international issues is crippling the economies, global economies. That's what is the strategic statement made by the Russia and the China. India also agreed to that particular stand. Now, on the other hand, I can call this deal as a win-win situation. So what is the win-win situation over here? The first one is the Iran-US reapproachment. We know that the 144-day standby between diplomatic standby between Iran and USA, when Iranian revolution, that is religious revolution as Islamic revolution has occurred in the Iran. Every United States president is a victim of its relations with the Iran. Mr. Jimmy Carter lost his elections, because of this particular Iranian revolution, which there is Iran standby with the Iran. Now, Iran and US reapproachment, now as of now it is confined to nuclear energy itself, that is with regard to this particular nuclear deal itself. And other bilateral relations are avoided from this. But it can take the things further. And the next important menace that is coming up is related to the Islamic State. Iran is a Shia dominated state which is very much active supporting the Kurds and is able to take up the results on the Islamic State. So the America and the Iran's fight against the Islamic State can grow stronger once these relations got stabilized. And next is, the global crude prices may come down because Iran increases its production. And the Iran's exports, it will also create checks and balances with regard to the international crude oil prices. Now, this is what is the win-win situation because of this. Now, how the geopolitics are reacting to this? As expected lines, Israel, which has tried to stall this particular deed at every level, it has said it will not hesitate for a military intervention. And Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, he has clearly said it is a mistake of historical proportions. That is what is important comment which he has made. And Saudi Arabia, it also has said that it will try to match the Iranian capabilities. It means it will also strive for having a nuclear bomb. It means that it is going to develop relations with the Pakistan further. So it's not only going to destabilize the West Asia, it has got implications even for the South Asia. So after this, Israel and Saudi Arabia, so there is no much opposition which has come from the other West Asian countries. Now the monarchies, the Gulf Cooperation Council was never invited towards the Iran, which also might have certain problems with regard to this, and Gulf monarchies, they are opposing to this. Now what are the implications to India? There is a beautiful article table is given in Hindu. The first one is positive implications. I'll say it as connectivity and energy security. Now connectivity to Central Asia, it means we can see the new markets growing in Central Asia through the Afghanistan. And the second thing is, we can have access to the Afghanistan through the Chabahar port through the Iran. And the North-South corridor, which Modi has been actively pursuing for. So the Iran is an important player to this. So it means India is trying to access the energy resources of the Central Asia and also trying to deepen its connectivity with Russia through this North-South corridor where the Iran is the major transit. And China is getting renewed interest in Afghanistan. In this particular matter, now India can increase its goodwill diplomacy to the Afghanistan through the opening of this Chabahar port through Iran. And energy security, especially India and Iran, they did not take further, or else India decreased its imports from Iran just because of these sanctions. And India did not pay back its $8.8 billion which it has to pay to Iran due to lack of proper banking and financial establishments. Now they will be re-established and the trade will take a smooth route. Now what are the implications on the other side, wrong implications? Did Iran forget our vote against it in IAEA? Probably not. Mr. Ahmadinejad, who was a very close friend of India, Iran was always a close friend of India, to gain a nuclear energy pact during the Bush era, who tried to vote against the Iran in IAEA. So, which has hurt the Iranian sentiments because Iran is the country which only stood against all the Gulf nations which have been tying the line of the Pakistan. India always took the line of the Iran always took the line of the India. So Iran, that's the reason why. To what extent it will engage with India is a major question, or if it even engages, avoiding the growing business with China, Russia, European Union, America. So to what extent India will be in its priority list is the major challenge. And geopolitics, India is developing its relations with Israel. Now, how it has to balance Israel and Iran relations equations over here. So this change in geopolitical power politics, where India might get affected if Saudi Arabia moves close to Pakistan to gain the so-called as nuclear energy, the nuclear bomb. So these are the concerns. Next is, these are the concerns and these are the implications for India. Now for a good closure of the answer, the Iran foreign minister, what he said is, it's not perfect for anybody, but an important achievement. We can use that for closure or completion of an answer. Now, any question that comes, what can the question can come over here? The Iranian nuclear deal has a wider geopolitical implications which can affect the India's interests. So then you can mention this particular concerns, etc. Wider geopolitical this thing. So try to India or else Iran nuclear deal is a win-win situation to maintain the peace in the West Asia. Comment. Like these questions can come up over here. Next is the caste census. So I tried to make some notes out of the caste census in a question and answer format just to explain you the concept. Now why do we need the caste census? Now if you can recollect the article 15 and 16, we have reservations for socially and educationally. Our state can provide for special treatment for socially and educationally backward classes. Now, who are the social and educational backward classes? What are their proportions? So based on the size of the population, the state can determine the reservations for them. Now, that's why Supreme Court has guided the center to conduct this caste census in India. The social census, or else call it as. Now who has to conduct this survey and who has the capabilities to do that? So that is what is called Census Commissioner in the Government of India. He has to conduct this survey and he has got all the paraphernalia for this. And the Census Act 1948, it provides for the necessary legal framework to this. And also if you take the Constitution of India, the census is a union subject. And this data collected through the census has to be used for various policy making issues in the future. Policy making issues in the future. So, but however, who conducted the survey? The center has moved away from its responsibility and asked the state governments to conduct the survey. And the data of the state government will be consolidated by the Office of the Registrar General of India into certain tabulations. Now, what is the issue over here then? The state governments have neither the expertise to conduct these surveys and machinery to conduct these surveys. Obviously, that is the reason why the poor and qualitatively defective data is generated. And also the forms which are being given did not pose for the relevant questions. So, that is the reason why the Registrar General of India is unable to consolidate this particular data. And the Registrar General of India did not have the capacities to consolidate the data which comes from different states. Because the castes with minor differences in their names, they can get into a defective data. They can go wrong and become a defective data. So, that is the reason why Registrar General, what he did, he just forwarded the data to the respective nodal ministers, and the defective data ultimately is going to make the policy making much lopsided. If you take Kerala itself, where the author is working, 25% of the total data, it is defective and they have to reconduct the survey. So that's what is. To even today, we don't have the perfect caste data. That is what is this article is about. The same thing I made as a small, linearity of the things. This is what is the entire article is about. And next is media and its role. I can call it as the proactive role of the media. So media, with regard to a role called as policy advocacy role. The media has to create the circumstances for development of a law or a policy which can affect the people alike across the globe. Because the hard pills have to be taken by the people. So the popular government fails to give these hard pills to the people. Then media has to condition the minds of the people towards taking these hard pills. Now in this context, the policy advocacy role of the government plays an important role. The media plays an important role. So in this, the Guardian newspaper, it has urged for the people to withdraw their investments from the fossil fuels to protect from climate change, to protect the world from climate change. So this is what has been again repeated in this particular article. We can quote this an example with regard to the role of the media in a democracy or in the development or in the policy advocacy role. You can quote this as an example over there. Now just take it as an example, that is, what are the steps the government is taking to improve the exports. Now more and more government is taking the help of the states toward improving or boosting our trade. In this already we know about the aside projects. And now the government has come up with trade facilitation councils. The trade facilitation councils. We don't need to elaborate that, just mention that and move away. And in this, every state is also going to provide for the state trade policy. It means the central government is more and more looking towards the state to directly engage with the international trade and also improve the necessary facilities. It means India is also trying towards export-centered growth. Export-centered growth. Next is the crowd management. A good case study can come up on this. And also the UPS in the last 2 years, other than last year, it was asking a situational questions. If there is an accident, immediately how you will respond. So that's what is one of the main question given some 2 years back. And if you are sitting in the next to a person in a theater, all of a sudden he collapsed, what will you do? Similarly, there is a crowd where this particular scenario can be explained. What immediately you can do in that scenario? So try to prepare for that. So fire accident, what you will immediately do? So like this, even if for interview they can pose this question. Exactly the same question was asked to me when I was attending the interview. So you can prepare for this. And thank you very much. Your comments are very much motivating to me. And it gives me energy to work for you again and again and to draw these maps, etc., which takes 5 to 6 hours for me every day. Thank you very much.